Hey, what's up? It's Larry the Batman fan. Figured I'd film a quick video here. I don't have a lot of time, so I'll try to be brief. But this is going to be a gaming related topic for the time being. Don't worry, I will be showing off the Xbox collections that I have very soon and the Nintendo GameCube collection that I have, even though I don't have that many games for it because I traded off my Nintendo GameCube when I needed to get the Switch and I didn't have 300 bucks that I could spend, so I had to get rid of it. Well, I just got a GameCube again, and I only have about 10 games for it. So just keep that in mind. I probably will be getting one or two more games, but GameCube is really expensive to collect for. So stay tuned for those videos. Um, let's see. Today's topic we're going to talk about the top 5, well, the PlayStation consoles. We're going to rank the PlayStation consoles. So for me, the number one PlayStation out of all 5 of them, we're just talking about the consoles, not the handhelds, is the PlayStation 2. Because out of all of them, the PlayStation 2 was just great, because there's not that many bad games on the PlayStation 2, minus some of those movie license games, and stuff like Robin Hood and the Bad Boys Miami Takedown. Well, technically that's a license game. Hidden Invasion's a really crappy game, and McFarlane's Evil Prophecy, and Johnny Mosley Mad Tricks I heard is a really bad game, and Mountain Bike Adrenaline. But besides a handful of those games, Kengo is another bad game, by the way. Besides a handful of those games, there is still quite a few excellent titles on the system, and it's like the first time a lot of people had a DVD player, and also had backwards compatibility with PlayStation 1 games, which was nice. And also, you could use your PlayStation 1 controller if you didn't feel like using the PS2 controller on this machine, and you could use PS1 memory cards on there too, which is pretty awesome. The PlayStation 2 was definitely Sony's most successful system and sold millions upon millions of units. So that's why I consider the PS2 one of the greatest consoles of all time. It really is. The highlighted games for the PS2: Resident Evil 4, the Jak and Daxter trilogy, which is 1, 2, and 3, and the racing game if you play like Twisted Metal. I guess you could include that one as well. Devil May Cry 3. Devil May Cry 2 is a good game as well, despite it being a bit more difficult because the controls kind of suck in that one. You got the MotorStorm game on the PS2, Arctic Edge or Arctic Ridge, whatever. You had Max Payne 2. You had a couple of good first-person shooters on the system, like Killzone. Excuse me. Call of Duty 2, Big Red 1. Time Splitters 2, Time Splitters Future Perfect. Red Faction 2, Black. Those are a few highlighted first-person shooter games. And also 007 Nightfire. I think that was one of the best James Bond games that they had on the PS2. Ico, Shadow of the Colossus, Tomb Raider Legend, Tomb Raider Anniversary Collection. Excuse me. What else? Sly Cooper. All 3 of those were excellent. Those are good games. And the Ratchet and Clank games, all like 5 of them or 6 of them. I'm pretty sure there were 6 of them on the system. So those are just some of the games. Also Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. And I can't forget about Dark Cloud. Dark Cloud's a good game. And the sequel. I never played the sequel though. It's really expensive. So yeah, those are just a handful of the games for that system. Also, moving on, I think that in second place, we're going to go with the PlayStation 3. Because the PlayStation 3, when that came out, was pretty damn awesome. Um, it's cool to see that we had, like, Uncharted was, like, on the PS3. That was where it got its start. And Uncharted is a really good game. PS3 had backwards compatibility with PS2 games and PS1 games in the beginning. I don't know why the later models only had backwards compatibility with PlayStation 1 games. That was kind of stupid, in my opinion. I also didn't like how you had to sit there with some of the games and wait just for the games to download. Some of the games took a half hour, some of them took an hour, and some of them only took like 10 minutes. Which was really stupid because on 360, a lot of those games that were not Sony exclusives, you could play within seconds. So that was kind of a dumb move. But the online on it was great, I heard. And it was just a lot of fun. They got everything right. They didn't have all those microtransactions up the ass, man. Like, that's what really sucks. People hate microtransactions. When you pay $60 for a game, $50 or $40, please don't do microtransactions because we don't want that. We don't want to have to pay extra money out of pocket. Give us the full game. Don't half-ass shit. Don't make it garbage. Don't make it glitchy. Don't make promises and then it being a bad game. That's all I ask. But as far as the PlayStation 3, most of the games on the PlayStation 3 were pretty awesome. The controller was unique, a little bit different than the PS2. Had a PlayStation button on it that wasn't on the PS2. PS2 just had an analog button. And it's just overall a very good system. That's why I put it in second place, despite those minor problems. Highlighted games for the PS3 is Infamous, Infamous 2, the BioShock games, Metal Gear Solid 4, Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, Killzone 2, Killzone 3, the Resistance games, Tomb Raider, the reboot, and also Tomb Raider Underworld, even though that was a port. It was also on PS2 and the Wii and the Xbox 360. Let's see, what else? There was Valkyria Chronicles. I think that game was really good. Final Fantasy 13. Yeah, the Dragon Age games, all three of them. Third game was ported to multiple consoles. But it was still on PS3 because it was at the end of the system's life system or lifespan. So those are just a few games. Oh yeah, I also can't forget The Last of Us. That was a really good game. So those are just a few games, highlighted games I can say. Number 3 is the PS1. The PS1 is a good system. Don't get me wrong, when it first came out it was mind-blowing. And it definitely sold a lot of consoles back in 1995, 1996. It really was cheaper than the Sega Saturn. It was $100 cheaper, so that's why they ended up selling more units than the Sega Saturn. So it was a really good console. And then later on it was competing against the Nintendo 64 and the Dreamcast. It's a good console, a lot of great RPGs on the system, way more than the N64 had. The N64 only had like 5 RPGs, which is pathetic compared to the PlayStation, which had like 100. Overall, just a great system, you know, but it's not really something that collectors are looking for these days because the PS2 can do everything that the PlayStation 1 can do. So it's not really worth buying anymore. But it was a good console for its time. But most collectors start with the PS2. So that's why I put it at number 3, because there's no reason to get a PS1 now in 2023. There's just no reason whatsoever. Highlighted games for the PS1, in my opinion, is Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9. Legend of Dragoon, that's a good game. Parasite Eve 1 and 2. Resident Evil 2, and Resident Evil 3. Crash Bandicoot 1, 2, and 3. and also Crash Team Racing and Crash Bash. All three Spyro games are excellent. Spyro 1, 2, and 3. Although they didn't call the third game Spyro 3. It was like Year of the Dragon or something. And then also Chrono Cross, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX. I always found that game to be so much fun. The original, excellent. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, and I know there's also 3 and 4 on the system, but the first two were the best for PS1. Plus the other two games are just ports. And Jade Cocoon, that's a good game. And the Star Wars like racing game, the Episode 1 Racer. It was also on the N64, but it was still a good game on PlayStation 1. So those are just some of the games I can think of. Also Ford Racing, the original Ford Racing, that's pretty cool. Okay, number 4 is obviously the PlayStation 5. PlayStation 5 is excellent. I think there's lots of great games on that system. But there's a few problems with the PlayStation 5 is that, when it first launched, a lot of people were really pissed off that they couldn't get one after it launched. I mean, I couldn't get my PS5 till a year later. Because the scalpers came in and scooped up all the PS5s and were selling it on eBay for crazy prices. I'm not paying $1,500 for a system with no games, just the system and the cords and the controller. That's a ripoff. Okay, not even $1,000. That's just highway robbery. So I had to wait over a year before I finally got mine, and I ended up getting mine from like North Korea or South Korea for $679. So I had to pay a little bit above the price, but it was worth that price. It was worth the wait. And now it seems like they become readily available. So it's easy to find a PlayStation 5 without a problem. But for a while, you couldn't find a PlayStation 5 anywhere. No one had it. Target didn't have it. Walmart didn't have it. GameStop didn't have it. Pastime Legends did not have one. Neither did Mr. Deals. Nobody had it. Even in other states where there's just GameStop and Game Exchange, nobody had one. And if you found a used one, it was only like $50 cheaper than just to buy a brand new one. And that's just not worth it in my opinion. You're better off just getting a brand new one. Even at $500, I think it was, or $400. So, and I got the disc version because I didn't want the digital version. I hate downloading crap. I like having physical media, physical disc. Another thing I hate is that some of the games that you buy, they require you to play online, like Back 4 Blood and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction. I can't play those games because they're online only, and I don't have a good internet connection in my house. So those games are shelf storage. I have not played them. So those are some problems. And the microtransactions, man. Don't get me started with those microtransactions. Jacko Goldkick is right. We hate microtransactions in games. Please stop doing that. It's not fair. We don't like microtransactions in games. It's not cool. Give us the full game. Don't half-ass the games. And don't have microtransactions in games. Because we want the full game. We don't want microtransactions. We don't want to have to pay extra money out of pocket. Real, actual live money. No thank you. But despite those problems, the system is pretty good. The graphics are amazing. It was nice getting that Astro Bot game, that robot game, free on my console here. Came pre-installed. But you're not going to want to play that game like every single day. You're going to want to have more games to play. I own 24 games for my PS5. The highlighted games that I can say, because I haven't played that many games, and there isn't any games coming out that interests me except for the day before. That game looks amazing for a horror game, for a zombie game. But other than that, I haven't seen anything else. No talk about an Uncharted 5 or Resident Evil 9 or anything like that. So I haven't seen anything worth getting. So the highlighted games for me is Returnal, Gotham Knights, Ghost Runner, and Kenna Bridges Spirits. Those are a couple of games that I can name. And number 5 is the PS4. I know it's dead last, but it's still a great system. It's not a bad system at all, but still one other problem: microtransactions. We fucking hate microtransactions, folks. It's not cool having microtransactions. Screw microtransactions in games, and screw having to download the game just to get a physical full game. Like when like I bought the Walking Dead game, the New Frontier game. I only got to play the first level, and the rest of the game you have to download. That's really stupid. You shouldn't be doing that. I'm not going to get too deep involved into that because I already explained why I hate microtransactions. But despite a few problems like the PS5, the PS4 is still pretty awesome, and it's fun. And I like that the game's downloaded much faster than the PS3, which some games took over an hour to download, which was ridiculous. The highlighted games for the PS4, in my personal opinion, is Final Fantasy 15, Doom, really good game there. Resident Evil 7, it really went back to its roots and being scary. Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, The Last of Us, the remastered version. I didn't like Last of Us Part 2 very much. Uncharted 4, Uncharted The Lost Legacy, Black Sad, Under the Skin. Life is Strange is a really good game. There's also the Uncharted collection for those that hadn't played the first 3 on the PS3. You can play it on the PS4 with that game, even though you have to download the other games, which is stupid. And the Tomb Raider games, Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Rise of the Tomb Raider. And also the reboot was also ported to the PS4 as well. And Tekken 7. So there's a couple of games right there that I think are worth playing for the PS4. Also, I'm going to put Call of Duty Black Ops 3 up there, even though I really don't give a shit too much about Call of Duty. But there has to be another shooting game on the list. So those are just some of my thoughts about the PlayStation games and PlayStation console rankings. None of them are bad consoles. They're all really great. It's just how I feel. My thoughts and opinions on that. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my rankings, and I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless you all. Peace.